The first operating system that we're going to install in our lab is Kali Linux. See, throughout the course, we're going to use a number of hacking tools. You can install each of these tools manually, or you can do what most hackers do, including myself, and save time and effort and use an operating system designed for hacking. We're going to use an operating system called Kali Linux. It's a Linux distro based on Debian, and the only difference between Kali and the actual original Debian Linux distro is the fact that Kali has a lot of hacking and penetration testing tools pre-installed and pre-configured in it. Therefore, once you install Kali, you will have access to so many hacking tools without the need to install or configure any of them, which will save you a lot of time and a lot of effort. Now, just like any other operating system, you can install it as a main machine or as a virtual machine. Now, I'm going to install it as a virtual machine because, like I explained in the previous lecture, we will not lose any functionality by using operating systems as virtual machines, and it comes with a lot of benefits because it's completely isolated from our computer that we always use. So if we break the virtual machine or if we want to delete it and reset it, it will not affect our main operating system. Now, the first thing that you want to do is download the virtual image of Kali Linux. So you can download it from the resources of this lecture. To access the resources of the current lecture, we're going to scroll down to the lecture. We're going to click on the resources icon, and then we're going to click on the resource that we want. Now, before going ahead with this, I want to highlight something that is very important. So please pay attention. This is a custom Kali image that I made for my courses. It is smoother and faster than the original one. It fixes a number of bugs, and it contains a number of extra programs that we need for this course and are not included in the original release. You do not have to use this custom image. You can use the original one. You can even use just a normal Linux distribution, as long as you know how to manually install all of the missing programs and apply the fixes that I did myself. And you can see a full list of them here on the left. Therefore, if you ask us a question in the Q&A section and you're not using the custom image, the first thing that we will ask you is to use the custom Kali image that we made for you, because we know the original one is broken and we will not know the changes you made in order to fix it. So, if you have a 64-bit computer, download it from one of these links. Or if you have a 32-bit computer, then download the 32-bits version from here. While waiting on the download, check out our VIP community right here and our YouTube channel. We actually post hacking content on it regularly, so you'll probably find this very useful. So make sure you subscribe to stay updated with the latest stuff that we post in here. Once the download is complete, you'll be ready to install Kali as a virtual machine. I will walk you through that in the next lectures, but before moving on, we need to enable virtualization to run virtual machines. You only need to do that if you're running Windows or Linux. You do not need to do this if you're running Apple Mac OS, as Apple computers come with virtualization enabled by default. So skip the rest of this lecture if you're using an Apple computer. If you're using Windows or Linux, then continue with me to see how to enable it. So on Windows, before enabling it, if you want to check if it is already enabled, you're going to have to go to the Start menu. We're going to look for the Task Manager. I have it right here. I'm going to click on More Details. I'm going to go on Performance. And if you look in here, beside virtualization, you can see in my case, it's saying disabled. So we're going to have to enable it. But if it's saying enabled for you, then you can skip the rest of this lecture and move on to the next lecture. If it's saying disabled, then continue with this lecture to learn how to enable virtualization. So to do that, we're gonna have to first restart the computer, and as it's booting, as it's starting, you're gonna have to press a key combination, usually one of the F keys from your keyboard, to enter the BIOS settings, and from there we can enable it. So let me show you how to do it. Keep in mind, you only need to do this if virtualization is disabled. If it's enabled, then you can simply skip this and continue with the rest of the course. Entering the BIOS settings varies depending on the computer that you have and depending on the motherboard. On the right here, I have a table of the most common computers, along with the buttons that you need to press in order to enter the BIOS settings. So as soon as you turn on the computer or restart it, you'll need to press the button relevant to your computer in here in order to enter the BIOS settings. Once you're there, you want to make sure you enable virtualization. So let me show you how to do this on a real computer. This is a Lenovo computer. Therefore, based on the table that I just showed you, I will need to press F2 as soon as I turn on this computer in order to enter into its BIOS settings. So first, I'm gonna hit the power button to turn it on, and as it's being turned on, I'm gonna keep pressing F2 to enter the settings. And perfect, as you can see, I am in the BIOS settings right now. Now keep in mind, depending on your computer, the settings might look different than what I have in here. The main thing you need to keep in mind is to enable virtualization. This option can be found in a different window in any of these windows or tabs, but the main thing you want to keep in mind is to look for an option called virtualization, VTX, AMDV, or any of the options in here and enable it. So as you can see, for me, the first window that I see is just an information window. It doesn't really allow me to modify anything. Now you can use the keyboard to navigate between these windows or these tabs. So I'm gonna press the right arrow to go to the configuration window. And in here, the only thing that I wanna modify is Intel virtualization technology. So I'm gonna use the down arrow to navigate to that. And I'm gonna hit enter to change the setting, press down to set it to enabled, and hit enter again to select it. Now, if you're not sure about how to use this interface, because like I said, you might actually get a different interface, keep an eye on the instructions that you see at the bottom as they tell you exactly how to navigate and modify the settings. Now, I'm done with the configuration window. I'm gonna press the right arrow again to go into the security tab. We're gonna go to the exit. So again, I'm gonna press the right arrow again, and I'm gonna select the first option, exit saving settings. It's gonna ask me, do I really wanna do this? I'm gonna say yes. The computer will restart with virtualization enabled. So in the next lectures, when we get to installing virtual machines, these virtual machines will run with no issues. If you've done everything properly, now if you go again to the task manager, go to performance, you should see that virtualization is enabled. If you couldn't do that, please ask us in the Q&A section and we'll be happy to help you. Keep in mind that you only need to do this if you're running Windows or Linux as the host computer on your main computer. If you're running Apple, Mac OS, then you do not need to do this and you should have skipped this part.